There are effectively 5 phases every man should go through in order to build a lean, jacked, 1% physique. But most people never heard about it, or if they did, they don't really know how to apply it. And let's be real, most people have no idea what they're doing. And since they don't know, they tend to go to the extremes. For example, a skinny fat guy, he might do a crash diet, so he cut the calories, he increased the cardio, not that much strength training, and he just look worse. Or they go to the other extreme, bulking instantly because they think they don't have enough muscle, so they bulk. But the more fat you have when you start to bulk, the more fat you'll get. That's how it is. It's not that easy, bro. You shouldn't be doing any of these two. Like any type of extremes is usually wrong, because right now you might be putting a lot of effort in to get no results. You're just like a fly trying to get out of a room and bumping its head against the window over and over again. A lot of efforts, but you're not doing the right thing. And I know how it feels, bro, because if you're anything like me, your body is directly causing your low confidence, your low energy, this lethargic state, and you're frustrated from the gap of where you are right now and where you want to be. And being aware of this gap is even more frustrating. You know, you could have been there way faster, and if you really stick to your words and you had the right knowledge, you would have been there a few months from now, like even years from now. And the worst part is really putting a lot of effort in, like on the nutrition, on exercising, doing the cardio, but you're not getting the results because you're not doing the right things. And so if being lean isn't only a wish, but something that should be a non-negotiable standard for you, this video is for you. Getting to that lean aesthetic body while enjoying the process, finally feel confident in your own skin and earning the respect from both men and women. And most importantly, feeling like the man that can follow through on his own words and getting the self-respect from yourself, which is the most important in my opinion. That's how we're going to close the gap for good. And trust me, bro, it's not about genetics, because I've been where you are. I've been skinny fat. I've also been fat. I've been almost anorexic because I've made all of the mistakes, the crash diets, the dirty bulks, the guessing my macros and my calories. Like, it's not genetics. It's just knowing what to do and doing the right things. And when you know what to do, obviously doing them. But most importantly, having the exact blueprint to follow every single day and knowing in which phase you are in the body map and do it. To figure this out, I had to learn this from a lot of different YouTube videos. I even invested in some fitness coaches and a lot of trial and errors because it wasn't all rainbows. Like, I had to try stuff. That's why I've dirty bulked. I've almost ended up anorexic. Like, I've been through a lot of different phases to figure this out. And so if that's something you want, hear me out. Before going into the phases, I need to introduce to you the right diet, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. You can just figure out your macros just like that. Diet is also something I tried a lot of different things. Going very low on carbs, like kind of keto, keto, carnivore at some point. I thought this would be the gateway for me to get the most amount of cognitive energy during my deep work, for my business, for my career, for my when I was in school, for my studies. It kind of worked, but when I went back into high carbs, that's when everything changed. Like, I looked better, I looked fuller, and I had more energy, and I still had the cognitive performance I needed in my work or anything. So I would say the thing is, you need to fuel for aesthetics and performance, physically and cognitively, to get high energy, to get away from this lethargic state, even when you're cutting, and really feel like you're sharp everywhere, in your job, in the gym, in your cardio, everything. That's really the diet you need. So it would be high carbs, kinda low to medium fat depending on the phase you're in, and high protein. Basically it. And obviously the goal is to eat the most whole food as possible. Like 90% of your diet should be whole food. Otherwise, I don't know what you're doing. Like, you're just eating poison on purpose, and you know it. But it's just life. Like, if I don't eat this transformed food that's been made for me to get addicted to them, what should I eat? Potatoes, rice, meat, eggs, avocado, fruits, vegetables. There's a lot of stuff, bro. Don't fucking drink and eat poison purposefully under the excuse of what if I don't eat that, bro. They were made to kill you, so. But you do whatever you want. So let's get into the physique phases roadmap. So as I said, the guy, usually when they start, they either go to one of the extreme because they don't have the knowledge. But the first thing you need to do isn't to get all rushed into the cut or all rushed into building muscle. The first step is the priming phase, which will last around 1 to 3 weeks depending on where you are. And this is mainly for the people who are unshredded. So the fat guy, the skinny fat guy. Usually, if you're really lean or shredded naturally, you won't need this priming phase. Usually, you might need it depending on what's your activity level right now. But the goal of the priming phase is really to stabilize everything before going down in calories. So the priming phase might mean going higher in calories before going into the diet phase, which is the second phase. So before cutting. Because one guy recently joined my Forge, which is a fitness mindset program, and he said to me he was eating 1,300 calories. I was like, that's a good example of a crash diet. Why the fuck would you do that? So we're in the priming phase right now with him. So we need to increase the calories every week, like week by week, until his weight stabilizes and until he feel way more energized.
I've never felt amazing. Like I've felt so energetic. I don't feel fatigue at work that much or at the gym. It's honestly ever since I've been eating enough carbs,
Yeah.
energy. It's just that was my first mistake. It's actually amazing. It felt so great.
It's essentially to get to a proper baseline, a normal baseline to undo the fucking mess that you've done to your body. Like you destroy your hormones, you're feeling tired 24/7, which isn't normal, by the way. You're losing muscle, you're gaining fat, even though you're eating less than 1,500 calories because your body is under stress. So the goal of the priming phase is really to get recovery, the energy, and performance all flatline and in the green. So without this priming phase, jumping straight into a deficit doesn't work. Like your body can't respond predictably, and that's what we want. We want predictability. We want something that's easy to follow, easy to create. Because if you have the right knowledge, as I said, it will be easy, but your body needs to be in the right state to do that. Once the priming phase is done, we enter the diet phase, which will last around, depending on where you are again, it can be 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks if you're really fat. So the goal here will be to cut the calories, will increase the protein, will maybe lower the fat a bit, but the main thing that will move the most in your diet should be the carbs, depending on where you are, a bit of the fat as well. But the goal is to eat for aesthetics and performance. So even in the diet phase, we need to focus on your energy, not to feel tired. Like plan your macros, your micros, the meal timing for you to feel the best. Physically, cognitively, like sharp everywhere. So we need to keep the carb as high as possible early to maintain fullness and muscle. That's how you'll feel not flat most of the time. And so the training stays the same, like throughout the priming, throughout the diet phase. We will maybe increase the cardio, but the main thing will be the strength training. So 4 to 5 times a week in the gym, no matter the split, should still be optimized. Like a lot of volume, but not too much for not feel just tired because you're already in a deficit. But we should also increase the cardio at least 3 times a week, some least cardio, running if you enjoy running, and your daily step, minimum of 10K step daily. You should never tell me that you don't have time to walk 10K step daily. Everybody does. It's like an hour and a half. You can find an hour and a half to walk in your day. So in this phase, the calories, the nutrition, and the cardio is the main lever as long as you stick to your gym program. Then at the end of this diet phase, you should be really lean, ripped, but it's not over. It's not over. So you'll be kind of low in calories. When most people finish their cut, they just go back to their old diets instantly. There's no progression. There's no ladder, and that's a big mistake. Because if you go back to your old diet, you might introduce like 500, 600, 700 calories back into your system just like that, while your body has been in the deficit for months. Big mistake, my friend. What you need to do is called the reverse diet, meaning introducing back calories bit by bit, especially carbs, throughout the weeks. Every, let's say, 3 days, you should increase by 200 calories. While doing the reverse diet, you'll still lose fat, get more lean, feel fuller in your muscle. That's the power of the reverse diet. Like last time I did a reverse diet, I was at the end of my diet phase at around 2,000 calories. When I finished the reverse diet about 2 weeks after that, I was at 3,000 calories while still getting leaner, losing weight, and feeling fuller. That's what most people miss out on. While it's the biggest cheat code ever. And once you're lean as fuck, once you're 8% body fat, full, you'll have the performance phase, which is also called the main gaining phase. And this will last 3 months, 6 months, depending on how disciplined you're with your nutrition and how much you want to push towards gaining this muscle. Because you don't want to go beyond 12, 13% body fat. That's disgusting. So you'll be really close to your maintenance, just slightly above, and gain muscle that way while staying lean in the process. That's how you stay lean year round while gaining muscle. And don't worry if you're a mental worker, if you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, and that you really need this time to focus internally. Like you'll just time your meals around deep work blocks to stay mentally sharp. For example, it could be if you really want to go deep in your work for 4 hours, 5 hours, then you don't eat, you just do the work and the meal will be planned after, like throughout the day. Maybe the carbs will only be in the evening. Everybody is unique, everybody has different way to work. For me, it's intermittent fasting. I work first thing in the morning, like I wake up at 5:30. I work. My first meal is usually around 11 to 12, and most of my carbs come around my training, so a bit before, a bit after, depending on the day, and usually in the evening, because in the evening I'm just relaxing, I eat whatever I want, and then I'll go to sleep anyway. So, and the most important thing in this performance phase is to keep the daily blueprint running. Keep every habit, the training, the nutrition, the macros, the cardio, even though it would be a bit reduced, the daily steps. Like, don't drop structure just because the diet is over. If you really want to be in this performance phase the most amount of time, stay lean the most amount of time, you still need to be super disciplined in this phase. In my opinion, you need to be more disciplined in the surplus phase, the main gaining phase, than in the diet phase. Because it's too easy to, oh, I can overshoot my calories today, and so you'll just gain fat like that. The last phase is after this performance phase, you'll have gained a bit of fat. That's normal. So we just recomp. And we go back to the diet phase, reverse performance, diet, reverse performance, diet, reverse performance, and you're basically lean for life. You go back to 8% body fat, then 6 months later, you are 12% body fat with more mass, and the cycle repeats forever, and you're basically lean for life. Isn't it beautiful? And you're sharp mentally, you're sharp physically, cognitively, in the gym, in your cardio, whatever, like you're full of energy. I can't emphasize enough how these 5 phases changed my body and my physiology. I'm freaking sharp mentally. I'm full of energy when I wake up at 5:30. When I used to sleep for 9 hours and feel lethargic, now it's more around 7 hours and I feel great. I feel sharp because I control my macros. I control my mind. The blueprint never changed depending on the phases. Like it just adjusts, yes, but it never changed. The standard stay the same. Standard is the most important thing if you want to be lean for life and feel good in your body. Feel like you deserve that body. Feeling like you're the man. Because you can have a great career, you can have a great business, you can make a ton of money, like 10K, 20K, 30K a month. I don't give a fuck. If you don't have the body, you'll feel like shit. No matter what. You can do it, bro. You truly can if you put your mind into it, your heart into it. You'll get it. It's just about being aligned with that guy and following the blueprint. So it's either you stay the same and you just keep indulging into these bad habits and regretting because now you're aware of how it works, you're aware of how to do it. Or you create your own daily blueprint, you follow the 5 phases, and you get the fucking results. And you'll be lean, sharp, confident, you're a guy that can follow through, and so you'll get more ambition and more results in every other area of your life. And if you need help to do that, you can just DM me change on Instagram to apply for the one-on-one coaching and ask me any question if you have any. And if it's a match, then I'll get you in. Let's keep learning, let's keep winning, let's fucking go.